Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to do a little short video. I'm going to discuss something that I very rarely discuss specifically, and it's because there's a lot that can be read between the lines here, and people are going to realize that I am taking shots at a lot of people out there, but they're indirect shots. And it's something that really needs to be said, and it comes down to this whole protein intake thing. Now, something I tell people over and over, I'm not pro-low protein. I think you need fairly high protein to gain muscle, and you probably need a little more protein to preserve muscle mass if you're in a caloric deficit and you're trying to lose fat and preserve muscle mass. I think high amounts of protein can be very useful for controlling appetite and controlling food intake. No argument there. However, what I'm opposed to is this idea of ultra high protein intakes. You got to remember that even from a sports nutrition perspective, 150 or 200 grams of protein is a very high protein intake. When you see people recommending that people need more than this stuff of a gram or more per pound of body weight, it's purely optional. There's no real reason for the majority of you to believe that you will make better gains or better progress on this much protein. Now, will it hurt your progress? Absolutely not. It will not. It won't hurt your progress to eat more protein than carbs, to cut your carbs back a bit, or even your fat a bit if you're getting sufficient fat and replacing it with protein. It's all fuel at the end of the day. It's just beyond a certain threshold. You're oxidizing protein as a fuel source. You're using protein for fuel, not to rebuild or build new tissue or anything like that. It's purely a fuel source, just like your carbs or fat, once you reach a certain threshold. And that threshold's a lot lower than a lot of you believe. Now, the problem is we have a lot of people out there with good credentials, good experience, who promote these ultra-high protein intakes. And I'll give you a case in point. I was chatting with a friend of mine yesterday, someone I've met in person at an event who I've added to my Facebook. And he's saying, look, I need help because I can't get enough protein in. And this guy isn't natty. He's on a little bit of gear, and he's on some Tren, which Tren can be slightly appetite suppressive for a lot of guys. And he's saying, I can't handle protein shakes because they upset my stomach, and I can't get enough protein in. I'm trying to lean bulk, but I'm not gaining weight because I can't get enough calories in. And I told him, well, you just eat 3 meals a day with normal foods. And he goes, no, I won't grow that way. I've got to have at least 5 meals, and I've got to slam protein shakes just to get my food in. And I asked him, well, how much protein are you trying to take in? And he said 400 grams, which is absurd. And he's struggling to get enough food in because he's trying to follow an ultra-high protein intake. High protein intakes are good for satiation. Now, for someone like me, if I was really trying to clean bulk, that sort of protocol wouldn't be a bad idea for someone like me who has a voracious appetite, because if I was trying to clean bulk on 4,000 or 5,000 calories, I can eat a lot more than that. It would help control my appetite a little more, but it wouldn't help build more muscle. Well, this person is struggling to get enough food in. It's making his appetite too controlled to the point of where he can't bulk and gain. So he got this idea from a coach, a very serious competitive bodybuilder over here in the UK, who is a coach and has both natural and enhanced guys do these ultra high protein intakes, bulking or cutting. And that's where he got this information from. And this always comes back to this point of these people who give these recommendations. And I don't care whether they are someone on YouTube. I don't care whether they are someone who writes for a blog, writes for magazines, whether they're an actual expert with advanced degrees. When you step back and look at it, the overwhelming majority of these guys who are recommending these ultra-high protein intakes have very clear financial motives when you look at it. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of these guys, even if they do put out good material, the scientific community doesn't always take it that seriously because they have very clear financial biases. When you start looking into it, a lot of these people, they've either been sponsored by supplement companies, they are currently some sort of paid employee of a supplement company, they own a supplement company, or they are a major shareholder in a supplement company. These are people who stand to profit directly. They profit directly from all of you out there, the fitness community, the lifting world, the sports world, thinking that they need much higher protein intakes than they need, and oftentimes people have to resort to supplements to hit these numbers. And by you believing that, these people directly benefit from it. And there are plenty of coaches and experts out there whose athletes are competing at the top level without these sort of protein intakes, who do not have a bias. They are not sponsored. They have no financial affiliation with these companies. When you look at their track record, and they're giving you recommendations closer to what I do, which is something like 1 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight for gaining muscle. And I recommend anywhere from 1.5 up to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight if you're trying to lose body fat to preserve muscle mass. And that's whether you guys are on drugs or not. Not much real need to go beyond that. A lot of these guys are in the same situation. Look, guys like I have actually interviewed, like Alex Viada or CJ Allen, both of whom are coaches, both of whom are working on PhDs right now. Both of whom are experienced athletes with elite powerlifting totals. Both of them are competitive athletes. And CJ does coach bodybuilders also for prep. A lot of these guys aren't recommending these ultra high protein intakes. In fact, if you even go look at someone like John Hollywood, who is a very, very good coach, his protein recommendations are not ultra high. They're high, but they're not through the roof. And when you start looking at this and you see people's protein recommendations, step back and look at, are they sponsored or in some way making a profit off of protein sales? If they are, then at that point, you really shouldn't take their advice seriously on protein. And I'm not saying that bias always means that a person is wrong, but there's a very clear-cut case of financial bias in that person giving that advice. They make a profit off of giving advice that is probably not going to help you, and that if anything might cost you a little bit of money, or in the case of someone trying to slam tons of protein shakes who's lactose intolerant, could cause you health problems. So my advice to most people, and this is the advice I follow myself, is I don't take the protein recommendations very seriously on any regard of protein, any aspect of protein, if they have a clear financial incentive to give that advice. If they have financial ties into the supplement industry that are very clear that I can see, then I don't take their advice seriously. And I would recommend that most of you at least assess that. And it's your choice whether to take that advice seriously or not, but at least step back and assess, are they really giving me good advice? Is the material they're putting out good, or do they have a financial bias in that? Do they stand to make a profit off of it? All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.